Hello friends. This is Phoenix What If. How are you all? So in this video, we will see. What if Naruto become Fox God and fell in love with Yoruichi Shihouin? But before we start, if you want more amazing stuff like this, then be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Also if possible share this video. Valley of the End. Sasuke. Sasuke. Why are you doing this? Said Naruto as he looked at Sasuke with a look of betrayal and pure anger. Naruto had just been struck with Chidori to his chest, but he still had just about enough energy to speak as he could feel his life was starting to fade away. Sasuke, still in his stage 2 curse seal, looked down on Naruto with a smirk as he replied. You all of people will never know anything, Naruto. Just look at you. From the day you were born, all you ever dreamed about was becoming Hokage. Why? To gain affection and respect you will never be worthy of. You grew up in fear of everybody because they hated you so badly, and you could do anything about it but try to change their minds about you. Your entire existence will amount to nothing, because your purpose on this earth is not worthy any amount of space. You are a waste, Naruto. You have trained and trained, but you still couldn't even hope to match up to my power, even with that Kyuubi's vast unlimited power. Naruto's eye widened in surprise to what Sasuke said to him, and Sasuke continued. Yes, I know about you being a Jinchuriki. I was told by the civilian council that you possess the 9 tails, and they didn't want you to have it in the first place. But they chuckles darkly, they found out the Kyuubi was split into 2 before the Yondaime could seal it into you. He sealed the Yang half into himself, then sealed the other half into you. I have the Yondaime's body, and I gave it to Orochimaru in exchange for me having that power of the Kyuubi which will be sealed into me. All I needed to do is get rid of the other half inside you so I don't have annoyances like you in the future. Sasuke's evil grin began to get wider and wider, with his wings started spreading outwards as he held his head in laughter, then looked into the sky as he yelled. Nothing will stop me from killing him, and reforming the Uchiha clan to its former glory. This world will be an all Uchiha world. With that, Sasuke flew up to the land of rice paddies and didn't look back, leaving Naruto to die from the Chidori he shoved into his chest. Naruto started to cough up blood as his eyelids started to close up. Suk. I'll get you for this, Naruto's mindscape. In the cage that was held by the seal, the cubby roared loudly in fury as its tail whipped violently. Dammmmmmmmn, that Uchiha. Damn them allll, said the Kyuubi as it saw the water on the floor beginning to raise and the small piece of paper holding the seal shut was being burnt away. No. This can't be it. I can't let him die this way. I promised her I would take care of him. Maybe. Yes, it's possible. The Kyuubi cam let down, and relaxed onto its belly and closed its eyes as it said, Hear me. Hear my voice, Otsutsuki, leader of the greatest clan in the cosmos. Hear my voice as I call upon you for a proposal to be made. Hira mee. The Kyuubi waited, and in a flashlight, a white orb with a Tomo symbol appeared before the 9-tailed beast, and everything froze in midair with only the orb and the 9-tailed fox still being able to move. The orb spoke in a feminine voice as it said, Kyuubi Kurama, strongest Biju of all 9 Bu and the guardian of the fire country. I hear your voice calling for me. What is this proposal you wish to tell me of? Speak, or I shall leave to return to the prison my idiotic son placed me in. The Kyuubi didn't waste any time to reply and said back to the white orb, I know what you have planned, Otsutsuki, and I can help you accomplish this, if you can hear me out. I wish first to change places. I shall stay in the moon, and remain there for all eternity. You on the other hand, will live to see the day and night, and breathe the air as your presence will walk this very earth again. But through this boy that is reaching the cold unpleasant hands of death. I may not know this, but I believe you have some control over those who govern death. If you can spare this boy, and give him a second chance, he will not fail at reviving your body back to life, and bringing your world order back in full control. Please consider this, Otsutsuki. Kagaya. For a whole minute, there was a silence between both the orb and the Kyuubi, but the silence was gone as the orb spoke. This boy, is his name Uzumaki Naruto. The one my foolish son and the toads prophesied to be the one who shall decide what is to happen to this world.
The Kyuubi nodded as he replied, "Yes, it is him. If he is to die, the chances of your revival shall become very narrow since you will need me to be sealed into the ghetto statue. My other young half is also useful, but it would be very impossible for your source to find a way into extracting that half."
The orb made a then came closer to the Kyuubi, then spoke again. "I shall give this boy a second chance. In fact, I shall change all aspects of him to suit my liking. I shall make him my very first mate, and grant him a range of power that will overrule my feeble son of a sage. This boy will no longer be bound to Hagoromo's will. He shall have free will to do what he wants, and command my power to his will, so long as he can find a way to have me feel the ground under my aching feet, and feel the soothing heat of the sun on my skin. I shall have my other son help me in this request. I accept your proposal, Kurama Kyuubi, strongest of the 9 Biju and guardian of the fire country." The Kyuubi smiled as its sharp teeth appeared, and a teardrop fell from the 9-tailed fox's right eye as a white light began to envelope the 9-tailed fox's body. In mere seconds, the body of the 9-tailed beast started to disappear into small crystal particles starting from the feet, body, tails, to its neck and head. After 1 minute, nothing was left of the fox, but the orb began to change shape into a 5 feet 4 feet tall woman in possession of very delicate facial features, as she had extremely long, sweeping white hair that touched the ground, and the most noticeable thing about her appearance were the 2 horn-like protrusions which stuck out from her head. She possessed eyes that were similar if not exactly the pale Byakugan eyes, and a third eye on the center of her forehead with its eyelids parting vertically. Her eyebrows were cut very short, and she wore a dark shade of lipstick on her lips and a dark shade of nail polish on her long fingernails. She wore the transitional high-collared hime kimono, which was adorned with intricate lines and tomo running down the center and edges of the gown, and wore very flat shoes. The mindscape of Naruto began to also reform as the water went down till there was nothing left, but the piece of paper that held the seal was now replaced by the gates being merged into one by the very center having the Kenji seal engraved into it. The woman placed the index finger and middle finger of her right hand on top of her closed third eye and spoke out loud. "Ryo, God of all things death, my dearest son, can you hear me?" "Mother," said another masculine voice, think of Vegeta's English voice, that spoke within Kaguya's mind. "Yes, it is me, my dear son. I am not yet whole, but I am free from your brother's prison." "Mother, it has been so long since I spoke to you. How can I be of service to the woman who gave me all the power I willed today?" "Ryo, my dear son, I am sealed inside my chosen mate and husband. I have recently made a deal with one of your brother's creations to be sealed inside his child of prophecy, and now, my mate is slowly losing his life, and will most likely appear in one of your dimensions. What I need from you is to set this boy free, and strip him of his lifespan to give him immortality. I also need you to create a carbon copy of the special forces that protect heaven and the rest of this world. I have other requests, but I shall make happen them on my own. Can you do this for me, my dearest son?" said Kaguya. After 2 minutes of silence, the voice spoke again as it said, "I could never deny any request you make, mother. I shall do as you wish, and help you in your future endeavors. But be warned, one of Hagoromo's children sleep deep within your husband's soul. If you do not rid of it soon, the soul will grow strong and try to take your husband's body for himself. You must act fast, and protect him from whatever tries to manipulate him." With that said, the voice didn't speak again, confirming it has just left Kaguya's mind. The woman walked deep into the back of the cage and sat down as she crossed her legs and placed her hands on her knees, then her third eye opened as it pulsed with white light. "Uzumaki Naruto. You are no longer the child of prophecy, as you are now the one that shall command all you see, all you smell, all you feel, and all you touch. You are my mate and soon to be undying will of this world. You are the true God, the Fox God." Konohagakure. The hospital. 2 months later, laying in a hospital bed hooked up to a heart monitor was Naruto, dressed in a hospital gown as there seems to be a huge scar on his chest. Sitting besides him was Sakura Haruno, now dressed in a pink dress that reached past her knees and wore regular sandals instead of the usual ones, and had her Konoha ninja headband tied around her neck with her hair now fully grown reaching past her firm buttocks. Sakura was not alone in the room.
as there was a woman who has long and wavy orange blonde hair, light blue eyes, full lips, and a beauty mark located under the right side of her mouth. She has a very curvaceous figure with the most distinctive feature being her nice round buttocks and her very large S in complete match to those of Tsunade.
The woman is dressed in a shiakusho, but instead of the normal black, the color is red with the sash being black, although she lets her robe hang loose for her ample bosom to be revealed. Around her neck is a thin golden necklace tucked between her cleavage and a long pink scarf over her shoulders. In addition to her garb, there is an armband worn on her sash, as opposed to around the arm. She carries a katana sword that is inside a black scabbard, and the tsuba is in the shape of a cat's head, with two triangles on the top half curving into ear points, and the bottom half tapering down into a single point with the sword having a dark red handle. The beautiful woman has the sword behind her clipped onto her waist obi.
Naruto slowly opened his eyes, and moaned as he tried to sit up and looked around to see where he is. Where am I? Said Naruto. He looked to his right side to see Sakura sitting on the chair besides the hospital bed, and eye widened as the memory of him being stabbed with a chidori by Sasuke and seeing him fly off to Orochimaru. Sakura quickly stood up from her chair and said, Naruto, you're finally awake. Thank Kami. Sakura smiled happily, but stopped as she noticed Naruto looking down to his lap. Naruto, what's wrong? Said Sakura. Naruto didn't look back Sakura, but replied, Sakura, I tried to bring him back, but
Naruto felt something touch his whiskered cheek, and looked to see it was Sakura's hand that caressed it. Naruto-kun, I asked you to promise me you would bring him back, but I didn't want it at the cost of your life.
Sasuke has made his choice very clear, and I can accept that completely as I have never cared about him. What I can't accept is him trying to kill you. So please, don't blame yourself for something you had no fault in. I don't hate you, Naruto-kun. I am more than happy to know you survived, said Sakura as she graced Naruto with a smile that made Naruto smile himself, then gain a blush from the added suffix to his name. Thanks, Sakura-chan, that means a lot to me. How long have I been out? Said Naruto. Sakura sighed and replied, about 2 months. You were on a slow recovery, but a good one at that. Other things were happening to you while you were in a coma, and these people came to see you. Well, they were the ones who found you before Kakashi-sensei could. Naruto raised his right eyebrow in confusion, then heard someone clear her throat. He looked over Sakura to see the women that was standing behind Sakura. The women spoke. Good afternoon, Naruto-sama. My name is Rangaku Matsumoto, Lieutenant of the 10th Squad of the 13 Protection Squads under your command, and I am here as your personal guard to ensure no enemies are to enter this very room and commit any crime of trying to harm you. I was assigned this duty by Sotaicho-sama, if you asking you gave it in the first place.
Backquote. Cue cricket in the background. Excuse me, said Naruto as he looked at the now identified Rangaku with a question mark over his head.
Rangaku was about to speak, but stopped as he bonked herself in the head, then left the room. Naruto looked over to Sakura, who shrugged as she said, these people have been here since you arrived, and Tsunade-sama has been trying to figure out where exactly do they come from. It's been really crazy around here, Naruto-kun. Especially with what's been happening since you came back from the retrieval mission. Rangaku came back with Tsunade who held a clipboard in her right hand, and walked over to Naruto's left side of the bed as she said to him, hello Naruto. It's good to see you're finally back on your feet. Listen Naruto, over the duration of your coma, I have been trying to dig up some information about you and your parents since a lot of stuff has been happening around here that basically revolves around you to say the least. Naruto scratched the back of his head and said, the third Hokage said that I didn't have any parents and he never knew them. And what do you mean by what's been happening, Tsunade-ba-chan? Your parents did pass on, but the third was sworn by your mother to never tell you who they are until you are Chunin. Your parents are Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato.
Naruto's eye widened at that information, and further clenched the sheets of his hospital bed as he could see so many memories passing through his very ocean blue eyes in high speeds. Meanwhile that was happening, Tsunade continued to speak.
As what's been happening to you? Well, The seal that once held the Kyuubi, reshaped into a high complex seal Jiraiya couldn't even decipher or understand to give a description on what's doing to you and what's inside. The nine-tailed fox that you once had is now gone. I had Inoichi check what was inside the seal, but he didn't sense any of the nine tails chakra anymore, but sensed an even greater chakra source more powerful than the Kyuubi's. He found a woman inside of you who calls herself Kagaya Otsutsuki, and explained everything that was happening to you. According to what she said, the Kyuubi made a deal with her for you to live, in exchange for him to be size and rubs forehead with left hand.
Sealed into the moon, which is Kaguya's former prison.
That woman agreed and changed places with the Kyuubi as she is now inside of you.
Naruto, in just 2 months, you gained a range of abilities with a whole new dojutsu that had us all wondering what exactly has she been trying to do to you.
I had everything about you examined, and I was able to come to a conclusion that you hold nearly all the known Kekkei Genkei and Tota along with a lot of elemental ninjutsu and genjutsu, and knowledge of a lot of techniques. I can't exactly name them all, but Naruto. For what it's worth, that woman is someone nobody even believe existed. She didn't exactly tell us who or what she is, but Jiraiya has been asking the Toad summons on who she could really be. Jiraiya hasn't returned, but I'm hoping it's something good and not bad. Naruto sat there in silence as he tried to take in all the information that he kept on seeing before his very eyes, and didn't mention word to anyone in the room. Tsunade had expected him to normally get angry, throw things around in emotional frustration and be very depressed about hearing who his parents, then happy at knowing the Kyuubi is gone and gaining more abilities. But instead, he just sits there as if he already knew everything she just told him. Inoichi was right. There seems to be a change in his personality and overall character. He isn't as loud and brash as he was before, but there are still parts of him that still remain. I twitch unfortunately.
Tsunade-ba-chan. What about the people that found my body where I fought Sasuke?
Said Naruto, still not looking at Tsunade as he was still feeling the flood of memories coming to him. Tsunade snapped out of her stupor and answered, these people are actually created by, well, you apparently. From what Kagaya said, these people are, sighs loudly Naruto, I wish I could explain, but it would just give me one mean headache like it did when Rangaku-san over here explained to me and the council and elders, which I don't want to be repeat of. These people are like your summons. I don't where they came from, but all I know is that you are well in control of them. Tsunade-san is right, Naruto-sama, said Rangaku, you created us all to serve and protect you, along with you family and your people.
We are currently stationed just at the land of the wind, as we are all awaiting for your presence and order.
I was sent to rescue you from the battle you had with Uchiha Sasuke, and ensure that you survive all injuries you have from the battle. I would have tried to pursue Uchiha Sasuke and bring him to justice over his attempt at killing you and defecting from the Leaf Village as a genin ninja of Konohagakure no Sato, but my captain specifically ordered me not to divert from the mission and stay with you at all time until you are awake from your coma. Naruto's expression remained stoic for a whole minute, then back to his goofy smile as he looked over to Tsunade and said, thanks for healing me, Tsunade-ba-chan. When exactly can I be released from the hospital? I really wanna see the pervy sage when he comes back for some more training so I can fight those Akatsuki guys.
Tsunade looked Naruto confused at his sudden change of character, with Tsunade narrowing her eyelids in suspicion as she thought to herself.
He knows something and is acting as if nothing didn't happen to him. He doesn't want to tell me what it is. Maybe he'll tell me on his own time.
You'll be out today, Naruto. Come on, Sakura, there is. Actually, can Sakura stay for a bit? I kinda need to talk to her, Tsunade-ba-chan. Said Naruto. Tsunade once again narrowed her eyes in suspicion, then nodded as she left the room and closed the door behind her.
Naruto-kun, I wanna say something to you too, but what do you want say to me? Said Sakura as she looked at Naruto, who looked back with a serious expression and replied.
Sakura-chan, a lot of things are gonna happen around here in Konoha and the elemental nations. And one of them is me leaving Konoha. I can't tell you why I am gonna go yet, but just now that I'm doing this for the good of the Leaf Village, and to protect you and everyone else here.
When Tsunade-ba-chan was talking me too, I started seeing a lot things and remembering some memories that I didn't know about. I need to leave soon, and I need you to come with me, Sakura-chan. I won't leave you here because I can't stand being without you, and I don't want to hurt you in a sense of what Sasuke did to do. I know you have so much to care for here, and your life is here too, but I.
Naruto-kun, said Sakura as she smiled warmly again, then went forward as she captured Naruto's lips in a deep kiss. Naruto's eye widened and blushed heavily. He was literally caught by surprise by the sudden kiss. Sakura pulled back and continued. I don't really have much to live for here anymore. Like I said, a lot has happened since you were in a coma. Sakura grabbed Naruto's right hand and with her own, then looked down for seconds before she looked back to Naruto as she said. I found out a lot stuff about my mom and the civilian council. My mom is responsible for a lot bad things about me. My lifestyle, what I have done, my bad choices, and how I treated you back when we were kids after the first day you and I became friends. The civilian council were actually planning on having me, Ino, Tenten, Hinata, Yakumo Kurama, even other children be given as slaves to Sasuke for nothing but breeding a whole Uchiha clan for them to take control of. Of course, Sasuke didn't know about this, and he wasn't supposed to know until he was finally old enough to be the clan head of his clan. Some us were lucky enough not to get involved in their idiot ploy as they left those kids alone, but me and Ino, we weren't so much lucky as them. My mom placed some sort of seal on me that replaced my personality, my characteristics, and memories with what I used to be. She even had me raped to be prepared for Sasuke to impregnate me. She also had Sasuke's sperm injected into me a month before Sasuke defected. Rangaku-san saw the seal, and showed it to Tsunade-sama, who got it removed with Jiraiya-sama's help, then investigated on what exactly the civilian council had to do with it. About 2 weeks later, the civilian council was arrested and executed for a lot of crimes they all committed, even before Sasuke was born. It turns out that they were involved with Orochimaru in getting the third Hokage killed, and selling the bodies of dead Hyuga main branch members, Uchiha men and women along with the first, second and fourth Hokage's bodies to him. Not to mention they also tried to take all the assets you were supposed to inherit from your parents, and the countless assassination attempts on you. Sakura took deep breath, then exhaled as she continued to talk. When I found about all of this, I abandoned the Haruno surname, and burned down the house my mom and dad lived in. I got rid of all the things they have ever bought me, and aborted the child I was carrying. Since then, I stayed at your apartment, then sometimes sleep here right next to you. Ino's dad wanted to adopt me, but I told him I didn't need a family anymore. All I really wanted now was to be with you. Sakura smiled sadly as tears began to stream down her face, and continued to speak again with sobbing in between. I'm so sorry for how I have treated you, Naruto-kun. All the times I bullied you, hit you for no reason and called you those god-awful names and things. I'm so sorry for constantly rejecting you, and making you feel so horrible about yourself when there was absolutely nothing wrong with you at all. I'm sorry for all the pain I have ever brought upon you, and I wish I could take it all back. Naruto-kun. Please forgive me. I promise that I will always be by your side and support you on everything you do. Even if it's wrong, I'll do anything you want me to do, Naruto-kun. I'll go wherever you go. I don't have anything left to live for, and you're the only thing I really care about now. So, if you want to leave Konoha, then I'll go with you. I'll do anything for you. Naruto-kun. Rangaku smiled sadly as she looked at Sakura and Naruto, who cupped Sakura's cheeks and wiped her tears away. Naruto kissed Sakura on her gorgeous forehead, then looked into her jade green eyes as he said. Sakura-chan. You have nothing to apologize for. Everything that happened to you wasn't your fault, and you didn't do anything wrong to me. You were forced against your own will to act that way. All the stuff you did back when we were still kids wasn't you at all, and I knew from the very day after we met that something was wrong with you because of how you started talking to me and treating me, but I didn't give up on what we had. I kept on being friends with you until I started liking you more and more to how feel about you know. All those times you said you hated me, I blocked all of that out, and I kept on thinking of much I love you and how you would return my feelings someday. And now, I couldn't be any more happier that you truly do care about me and only me just as I do for you. Sakura-chan, I love you, and I always will love you, no matter what happens to you and me. Sakura smiled happily and hugged Naruto and kissed him right on the lips, with Naruto kissing back as he licked on Sakura's lips asking for entrance into her mouth. Sakura gladly opened her mouth for Naruto's tongue to explore, and moaned as Naruto easily dominated her mouth as he tasted every inch of her mouth. After a few seconds, the both of them parted away from the kiss in need for air, but Sakura smiled as her cheeks began to match the color of her long beautiful hair. Naruto also smiled, but got serious as he looked at Rangaku with a serious expression. Rangaku saw this, and cleared her throat and said, "I await for your orders, Naruto-sama."
Naruto got off the bed from the left side, then walked up to Rangaku as he said to her, "I need you to go back to Seraiti and tell the Sotaicho to have Kenpachi Zaraki come here to Konohagakure no Sato and destroy my father's mansion and have all his assets go up in flames.
Also, tell the Sotaicho to stage a massive invasion so that I can make my escape. The Sotaicho can follow through with this 2 days from now, and be sure to deliver the message that I will be heading for the Rain Village, and have Byakuya assassinate the missing shinobi swordsman of the mist, Kisame Hoshikage. You may leave now, Matsumoto-chan, and be safe, okay?" "Hi, Naruto-sama. Take care," said Rangaku as she disappeared without making a noise.
Naruto walked up to Sakura, and cupped her cheeks as he said, "For now, I need to act natural, but you can tell Tsunade-ba-chan on the last day of what is going to happen. You can go now, Sakura-chan." Sakura nodded and kissed Naruto one last time before she exited the room with a skip to her step. Naruto went over to the mirror just opposite the side of the bed, then closed his eyes as he thought to himself.
"I know you're there. Can I talk to you? You don't need to ask, my dear husband. Just speak and I'll answer." Naruto opened his eyes to reveal they have changed from their usual ocean blue to pure crystal white with 3 small black rings with 3 tomos in each ring, and in the center of those eyes is a gold visible pupil.
It was 10:34 a.m. in the morning, and Naruto has just been released from the hospital as he was still wearing his normal wit orange and blue jumpsuit with the necklace Tsunade had given him, and his leaf headband tied around his forehead. Here we find our blonde hero casually walking by the busy streets of Konoha in search of a weapons shop. Even though he didn't pay too much attention to what people were saying, he could hear the villagers and business owners whispering about him.
Hey look. Yeah, that's him. Can you believe he is the Yondaime's son? I didn't believe it at first, but now that I look at him, he does look like the Yondaime in comparison. Oh Kami. We need to make him happy and hopefully forgive us about all those things we did to him.
I think the 5th Hokage is lying to make us leave him alone for what he did to Sasuke-sama. It's his fault why he left in the first place.
Hey, don't say that. Remember what happened to the civilian council when the 5th Hokage found out they were doing things for the Uchiha?
Naruto finally reached his destination, and walked in to see the store clerk greet him. "Ah, Naruto-san. Good to see you again. I was wondering when you come in again." Naruto graced the elderly man with a smile as he replied, "Ooh, I was actually saving up for something. Sorry for not visiting for so long."
"Ah, it's water under the bridge, don't worry about it. So, what do you need?" asked the store clerk as he exited the counter and walked up to Naruto. Naruto looked around for a moment, then said, "I'm looking for one of those big storage scrolls that can fit cloths, food, water and probably some another huge storage scroll if possible, and maybe store 1,000 explosion tags inside with some kunai tagged with those explosion seals, then a couple of weapons like a normal katana blade and some shuriken."
The store clerk walked into one of the aisles of the store, then came back carrying a large red scroll, and he said to Naruto, "You're lucky I found this. That Tenten girl came by and bought 3 of them, and there was only this one left." The store clerk dropped the scroll on the ground, making stand up straight.
The scroll is actually packed with about,
0.900 kunai with explosion seals tagged onto them. There is 40 more small storage scrolls, some chakra paper, 782 shuriken and 3 blunt katana swords, and another storage scroll you can use for all your necessities. This whole package costs about 56,000 ryo, said the clerk. Naruto took out a small green scroll from his pocket and handed it to the store clerk and said, "There you go. The scroll has about 60,000 ryo inside. You can keep the change."
The store clerk took the scroll and smiled at Naruto.
"Well, make sure you use it wisely. Also, Naruto, since you know who your parents are, I have been meaning to tell you that your mother owns about 33% shares in this weapons shop franchise. I don't have the papers with me, but you can get them at the Village of Artisans. Sorry if I misspelled it, said the store clerk. Naruto picked up the scroll and grabbed it by the belt tied from its top and bottom part, and placed it over his shoulder, making a hang on his back. Thank you, sir. I'll make sure I get them, and thanks for everything, said Naruto as he walked out the store. Just as he was about to turn and leave, he bumps into someone, and looks to see it was none other than Kiba, who had Akamaru on his shoulder, dressed in his normal attire carrying white supermarket plastic bags.
Well, if it isn't the star of the show. Took you long enough to get out of there, said Kiba with Akamaru barking in agreement.
Naruto sheepishly laughed as he said back to Kiba, yeah, that mission really did a number on me.
Is everybody out from hospital? Kiba nodded as he replied. Choji is still recovering from those chakra pills he took to fight that fat we left him behind with. Shikamaru wasn't that injured since he only had the fingers of his right hand broken, and me? I was in for about 2 weeks. That proves nothing can take down an alpha like me, Naruto, said Kiba with a smirk, with Akamaru barking twice. Naruto's eye rolled as he said, whatever, Kiba. I'll see you around. I gotta go somewhere.
Naruto, my mom wants to see you. I don't know what it's about, but it's probably about your parents since my mom was practically friends with your mom, said Kiba, making Naruto turn back and looked at Kiba as he said, you knew who my mom was? Not until now. My mom has a lot of pictures of your mom and herself, but she never told me who she was, said Kiba. Naruto nodded and walked on, once again ignoring the people giving odd stares, with a very small percentage of people who still despised him glaring daggers at him. After 8 minutes of peaceful walking, Naruto reached to the hotel he lives in, and walked up to his apartment door. He grabbed the doorknob and opened the door to enter, then close it once he was inside.
Naruto walked into the kitchen to see Sakura washing some dishes, dressed in nothing but one of Naruto's t-shirts that was just long enough to reach past her butt, with no shoes, showing her clean feet with black toenails, and her hair was looking frisky as if she had just woke up.
The shirt was black with white swirl patterns on it, but Naruto could see the pink bra and panties, which made him blush and gain a small nosebleed from Sakura's nice firm ass. Naruto, wiping the blood of his nose, walked up to Sakura, and hugged from behind, which Sakura welcomed as she dropped the plate she was holding into the sink and brushed Naruto's hands warmly.
Morning, Sakura-chan, said Naruto as he kissed Sakura on the cheeks, and Sakura turned her head to capture Naruto's lips in a kiss, then say to him,
morning to you too, Naruto-kun. I'm still making some pork ramen for you, but you can wait in the bedroom for me. There's some things I wanna ask you before we leave tomorrow. Naruto kissed her one last time, then walked into the bedroom as he took off the scroll and placed it on the side of the wall.
Not 5 minutes later, Sakura walked into the bedroom with a tray that had a bowl of pork ramen, chopsticks and a glass of water.
She sat beside Naruto and handed him the tray. Naruto smelled the spices of the ramen soup, and blissfully sighed at the aroma and shivered at thinking of how good it could taste. He grabbed the chopsticks, then first tasted the noodles. After one slurp, his eyes turned into comical stars as he said, "Oh-oh-oh-oh-oh-oh-oh-oh-oh-H-H. S-O-O-O-O-O-G-O-O-O-O-O-O-D. What did you do to the noodles, Sakura-chan? They taste so good." Sakura giggled with eye smiles as she responded, "I released my frustrations on the dough. But I think I can make it more better if I could find a way to mix the right spices correctly, then try other cuisines to add on. Maybe I could add some chicken drumsticks. But it's just a thought. If you're asking where did I learn to make ramen, I was taking lessons from Ayame-san during your coma." Hinata waned in on the lessons, but never turned up for them. Naruto didn't waste any time, and kept on eating, and tried to speak, chewing, have to him, make some chewing and slurping every morning. After 4 minutes, he was finally done with the bowl of ramen, and placed it on the tray as he drank up the cup of water finished, then said to Sakura, "You're lucky my metabolism is really high. Otherwise, I could end up looking Choji's dad in the future." Sakura giggled at Naruto's joke and wiped his mouth clean of the soup on his chin with a napkin, and took the tray to the kitchen. Naruto sighed to himself as he took the large scroll and he opened it to unseal a large white storage scroll as he started to store some of the contents in the red storage scroll into the white storage scroll. Sakura walked back into the room and sat beside Naruto, and said, "So Naruto, did you talk that Kagaya woman inside you?" Naruto nodded in agreement. "Did you find out who she really is?" "Well, to answer your question, do you remember those stories the Sandaime used to tell us back in the academy when we were still kids?"
Yeah, I do. You mean the ones about the man who created ninjutsu?
Yeah, those ones. Well, history might have been right, and wrong at the same time. That man's name is Hagoromo Otsutsuki, also known as the Sage of the Six Paths. In any history lesson, the only thing you will hear about him is how he came to defeat a huge gigantic 10-tailed beast on his own, and brought peace to the world, but that isn't the whole truth. He did have half family, one being his brother, and the beast he fought was actually his mother. His mother is the very same woman inside me, Sakura-chan. Said Naruto as Sakura's eye widened slightly, but continued to listen to what Naruto had to say.
Kagaya isn't human in the slightest, as she comes from a huge clan that doesn't originate from this planet. She was born here, yes, but her parents are from somewhere else.
Kagaya lived in a time period where the world was torn between a lot of war, and raised up to end it all as she ate from a tree that bared the fruit that had great power, which is chakra. After she ate the fruit, she ended the wars around the world and brought a new world order that created eternal peace for all humans. Some could say that her ways were cruel, but I actually believe that peace through a system of justice was really a good idea. Moving along, people started respecting her and worshipping her as they called the rabbit goddess, but as the years continued, they even started to hate more than they ever did, but they fear her because of her godly power and called the great demon. Kagaya, with the help of the holy tree, bared the seed to carry 2 children, and give birth to 2 boys. One was named Hamura and Kagaya dubbed him a god who will rule over life and death itself and take the heavens and the afterlife for himself, while the second boy was named Hagoromo, who was dubbed by Kagaya to be a warrior who will continue to lead this world on the right after her. Kagaya raised and trained the both of them equally to become very strong and gifted the both of them with their own abilities that got the both of those men where they are today. Now, according to what you would hear in history if they had a say in this, it would be stated that Kagaya grew jealous of her sons and tried to take her chakra back from them because she saw they were growing too strong. But the actual truth is that Hagoromo rebelled against Kagaya's way of life and her wishes for him, and wanted nothing but to change it into peace for all humanity where no one is ruled over any system or monarchy, and forgiveness would be the answer to all the hatred of the world. Kagaya was angered by this, then turned into her beast form, which is the 10-tailed beast, said Sakura. Exactly. Hamura wanted to fight alongside her mother, but Kagaya ordered him to leave and let the world be no matter what the outcome of her fight with Hagoromo may be. Unfortunately, Hagoromo won the fight by sealing Kagaya into himself. Before Hagoromo passed on, he decided to split Kagaya into 9 pieces and gave each of this 9 pieces names and named them the 9 Biju. After that was done, he used a technique called the Chibaku Tensai, which is a jutsu that takes up parts of the earth and form into one big rock, and sealed Kagaya into that very same result of that jutsu which humanity now calls the moon. Sakura gasped in awe as she said to Naruto, "Was the Sage of the Six Paths that powerful, Naruto-kun?" "Meh," said Naruto with a shrug, "I wouldn't say that.
The sage only used the 6 paths of the Renegan, Senjutsu, 3 or 4 taijutsu attacks that only stopped Kagaya-chan momentarily. Then his best strategy was to seal Kagaya within himself."
Sakura sweat dropped as she said, "Naruto-kun, you talk as if you could do better than him, when even I know that it would take a while to master all the things he did, even with Kagaya on your side." Naruto chuckled as he looked at Sakura with his eyes flashing to his dojutsu and said to her, "Of course I can." People could say the sage started ninjutsu, but the matter of the truth is he never even knew about it in the first place. He created ninshu, which is a way for every human being to connect to one other using chakra, and through that load of crap, he gave all humans chakra. Well, not every human being. "What do you mean?" asked Sakura as she looked at Naruto in confusion. What Hagoromo doesn't know is that before Hamura left, he made a very huge barrier around his continent and separated it from the rest of the world's continents, stopping Hagoromo from actually using his Nyanshu on everyone. The elemental continent isn't the only continent in the world, as there are many more out there. People like Hagoromo have traveled this continent through surface, sea and sky to see if there is any other continents out there besides this one, but they all never got past the barrier, believing that Kami does not want them to fall off the earth. Chuckles. For people who can fly, walk on water, making something out of nothing, teleport, and manipulate just about everything, they sure are a bunch of idiots to believe the world is flat and every other planet is flat. Anyways, does that answer your question, Sakura-chan? Said Naruto. Sakura kept quiet for a moment, then looked back to Naruto as she said, I was actually gonna ask you about Matsumoto's people. Did you really create them? And why do I keep sensing only one half of chakra from them? Naruto was done doing what he was doing with the two scrolls as he placed them on the ground, and relaxed onto the bed and placed his hands behind his back as he said, it's a long explanation, but sure. I can answer that, Sakura-chan. You see. A day later, Amegakure no Sato, Akatsuki headquarters. In a very tall skyscraper building, just in one of the offices, was a man sitting behind a desk as he was signing papers in silence. The man was a normal height of 6 feet 3 featuring tall, and has slightly pale skin. The man was dressed in a high-collared black cloak adorned with red clouds on it with black ninja sandals that showed his black-colored toenails, and had the aim headband tied around his forehead with the steel plate having a slash across it. The man has short spiky orange hair, purple eyes with ripple patterns inside, and had 6 piercings being a metal bar through both of his ears, 3 studs through the side of its upper nose and 1 spike stud on each end of the bottom. He also had 3 piercings in each wrist, with at least 1 on its upper wrist and some just under his neck. On the thumb of his right hand is a ring that bore the kanji for 0. Just a few spaces away from the man, something came out from the ground that appeared to be some kind of Venus flytrap dressed in the same cloak as the man sitting behind the desk. Pain-sama, you called, said the being. The man identified as Pain looked from what he was doing and stopped signing the papers as he sat back into the chair and said, yes Zetsu. I need a report on all the Jinchuriki. Hi, said the being known as Zetsu, the One Tails is currently in Suna as we speak. The 2 Tails currently out on a mission to Kiri along with the 8 Tails Jinjachuriki.
Both the 4th and 5 Tails Jinchuriki are in Iwa, but I am still trying to locate the 6 Tails, Pain-sama.
The 7 Tails is still in Takigakure currently imprisoned for severely injuring a civilian. As for the 9 Tails, I reported to you 2 months ago that Naruto Uzumaki was killed, leaving me to believe that the chakra of the Kyuubi has spread out and it will take 4 or more years to reform. I later on found out that the Yondaime Hokage didn't exactly seal the Kyuubi as whole into Uzumaki Naruto, but split the 9-tailed fox into 2 with the young half being sealed into himself then the other half into Uzumaki Naruto. Uchiha Sasuke has stolen the body of the Yondaime Hokage and gave it to Orochimaru in exchange for having the Kyuubi's young half sealed into him. I'm still trying to find all of Orochimaru's hidden bases so that I could locate where Sasuke is, but it has rather become difficult. Itachi has betrayed us all, and left to go back and find his brother in the hopes that we won't get to him first. Pain kept quiet for a while, before we said to Zetsu, very well. Itachi is nothing but a mere pebble under my feet. He is no match for a god such as myself. Is everyone else in the organization well and alive? Not so, Pain-sama, said Zetsu. I found Kisame Hoshikage's dead body just north of Kurigakure's gates, and from the looks of it, he was killed through a barrage of Senbon. Whoever the killer is, left a trail of gray tree leaves. I took the ring before Kisame's body was collected by the Kiri-nin. As for Itachi, he hasn't made it to Konohagakure no Sato yet, but he is sure to arrive soon. Very well, said Pain as he stood from his chair and walked over to his cabinet and took out a box full of rings. I shall put all our plans on hold until I can find 2 missing ninja who can replace Kisame and Itachi. For now, you can continue to search for the 6 tails and make sure you locate Uchiha Sasuke. If you are to find Orochimaru, do not engage. I shall be the one to make him feel the wrath of a real god. Southern parts of Aim. Deep with the forests just near Aim, a certain blue-haired woman was sitting on rock talking to a bright light that was in a humanoid shape. No wait, Yahiko. I have said all that I could say to you, Conan-chan. I cannot tell you what path to take now, but I can only hope that you choose the correct one this time. Goodbye, Conan-chan. The humanoid light vanished from Conan's sight, leaving her alone in the woods as she looked down into her knees and covered her face with both hands as she wept silently. From behind her, a humanoid figure hidden in the shadows spoke to her in a dark masculine voice. You asked me to show the soul of your dead friend, and you wanted to hear the truth from him. Now you shall decide what is to happen, Conan of Aim. Will you continue to follow your fallen comrade in his insane dream of the world's destruction and be betrayed as you will be discarded and sidelined? Or will you pledge your allegiance to the one true God, and work to revive the greatest world order that ever existed since the beginning of time?
The decision is entirely up to you, Conan of Aim. All you have to do is submit to him, and sign that contract. As I have told you, you shall not be mistreated nor shall you feel the pain of being left out, alone and pushed aside like you have been all along since the passing of both your comrades. He will change your life, along with the lives of those who live here in the Rain Village. He can take away the dark cloud that hangs over this village and bring pure sunshine over it all.
It is your choice, Conan of Amekagir no Sato. For 3 minutes, Conan remained silent as she looked down to her knees and removed her hands from a face. She looked up, revealing her amber eyes now clear of tears and her sobbing expression reverting back to its stoic and cold expression, and she took out a piece of brown paper that was rolled up, then unrolled it as she opened it up, bit her right thumb and signed her name at the very bottom of the paper, which flashed black before it appeared on the paper as red ink. The back of Conan's neck, just on the right side of it, a tattoo appeared that was a kanji surrounded by a blazing circle with the kanji meaning, angel. Conan stood up from the rock and walked only 4 steps forward to the figure and handed over the signed paper. Conan walked away, but stopped as she heard the shadowed figure speak. Because of this, the future has become 10 times better than it was before, and you have now broken through the barriers of your past and present, stepping into your new life as a real angel for a real god. The shadowed figure smiled as his clean white teeth shined and his brown eyes flashed once, right before the figure vanished without a sound. Conan looked over her right shoulder, and from deep within her amber eyes. Her pupils began flash and straighten up to form into slits. Konohagakure no Sato. Night time. It was 10:30 p.m., and Naruto was still dressed in his orange jumpsuit wearing his blue sandals, and had the red large storage scroll on his back. Standing besides him was Sakura dressed in a kimono that was black adored with pink trimmings running across it, and had on a pair of black shinobi sandals instead of blue. The both them had put on their headbands in their usual places, but the steel plates were slashed across. Sakura-chan, are you ready? Remember that once we leave here, we could never come back here as Leaf Shinobi, but ninja only wanted for capture or kill. I know this is what you have decided, but you're sure you want to do this? Sakura, with a look of determination, looked back Naruto as she nodded once and responded, "Hi, Naruto-kun." Naruto took a deep breath, before he exhaled, then took out a cell phone, iPhone 4, from his right pocket and pressed the number 6 button. Outside Konoha West Gates, standing just on top of the trees was a tall, young-looking woman with gray eyes and short messy silver hair with strands on the right side of her face that are shoulder-length and styled as 2 thin braids and has a thin dangling red earring on each ear. She wears a shihakusho, but instead of the normal black, the color is red with the sash being black, that stood out perfectly along with a badge tied around her left arm with a katana sword sheathed in a black scabbard with the handle being deep blue with a pointed round guard similar to a snowflake as this sword was sheathed on the left side of the woman's waist. For footwear, she wore the same flat shoes and socks that Matsumoto wore. On a tree just besides the woman, is a 7 feet tall man standing with a long sword that has no guard and a white bandage wrapped around the hand as the sword's edges looked very rough. The man was dressed in the same red shihakusho but had white haori on top that had a gote symbol acquiring a number 11 symbol inside. The man has a long face with pronounced cheekbones, hairless eyebrow ridges, green eyes with an eye patch over his right eye with a thin scar running down the left side of his face and across his left eye, and long stringy hair that has bells attached to the very tip of each strand. The woman took out a cell phone, Motorola flip phone, and flipped it open to answer the call. Azane-chan, is Kenpachi with you? Hi, Naruto-sama, we're just outside the village awaiting for your call to proceed, said the woman now identified as Azane. The voice in the phone that belonged to Naruto spoke again. Quote, You can now proceed. Make sure that no civilian is killed, and the same goes to Kenpachi. As you get a message, you both have to stop and leave immediately. Make sure that the damage you create is at a minimum level, and no lives are lost. Hi, Naruto-sama, said Azane. The tall man identified as Kenpachi chuckled and grinned as he said to himself, my first time out, and I'm already having fun, even if I don't get to kill anybody. Then vanished without a sound. Azane slowly levitated off the ground and stood in mid-air. She took a deep breath as blue energy began to envelope her body, and took out her sword from its sheath with her right hand and stretched her arm out in front of her with her sword pointing west. The second she exhaled, winds began to pick up and blew violently as dark clouds began to fill up the clear night sky. Her sword changed into small pieces of crystal, and blue blood vessels started to appear on both of her arms. Her eyes changed into being complete silver with no iris or pupil, and the winds started to become a visible dark blue color. Quote, Ban, Kai, the Hokage Tower, the Hokage's office. Will of you just shut up for 1 second? You're all giving one massive headache here, said Tsunade as she released some of her killing intent on the people inside the office, and sat on her chair behind her desk as she rubbed her forehead in irritation. Standing opposite her desk is the 3 Konoha elders, and Jiraiya who has just arrived. Tsunade, we have left that boy alone since he came back from that failed retrieval mission. But now that he is released from the hospital, you must place him under the CRA immediately. We cannot afford to waste any time, said Homura. Kaharu nodded and supported Homura's statement. Let's not to forget that you were supposed to make sure to find Sasuke since he is now on our most wanted ninja list. That damned Uchiha and those bigots sold Minato's body to Orochimaru in exchange for sealing the Kyuubi's young half into Sasuke. And do you have any progress on your search for him? No you don't. Danzo, who was sitting on a couch that was on the far side of the room, looked at Tsunade as he said, you haven't even tried to at least ask for assistance in finding Sasuke from Naruto's guardians. Did you even bother to request a meeting with them? Tsunade, I have some really bad news you need to hear right now. It's about. Shut up. Can you feel that? Said Tsunade as she straightened up, and sensed some sort energy coming from the sky. She stood up and looked over to the office's window to see some sort of humanoid figure covered in golden energy coming down fast from the sky. What is this energy that I am sensing? It feels like chakra, but without the yang part of it, said Danzo. Jiraiya started to shiver as he said to Tsunade, did someone turn up the thermostat? I feel some sort of cold press. Boom. On the east side of Konohagakure no Sato, an explosion erupted as screams of panic and fear could be heard. Tsunade looked to see it was the falling humanoid figure that fell from the sky, and was about to speak when. Zop! Lightning struck the window of her office with the impact blowing everyone back off of their feet in the whole building. Tsunade landed on her back, and was about to quickly stand up, but failed to do so as a huge cold pressure came down on her and everyone in the village, making them all shiver and freeze at the huge amount of pressure being released on them. Tsunade tried by all means to stand up, and only got to her hands and knees and looked up to see. Saw. Groan. Sakura. What the hell is, going, on here? Tsunade looked up to see Sakura, but her figure was in a shadow from the light coming from the destroyed window, with only her jade green eyes being the only visible thing about her. Sakura kneeled down and whispered into Tsunade's left ear. Don't worry, he isn't going to kill anyone. But don't try to find him. And don't make his allies your enemies. He's doing this for everyone's own good. He will find a way to bring back the New World Order, and you will be the first to see it. Goodbye, Tsunade-sama. Thanks for everything, and tell Ino I'm sorry. But I only live for God now. Sakura stood, and was wrapped into a red vortex. In just 2 minutes, the whole of Konoha suffered an attack and no one had the power to raise the alarms, fight back or even move. In just 2 minutes flat. Minato Namikaze's mansion turned into nothing but a gigantic crater, and some of the tall buildings were turned into tall towers of pure silver crystal, and small pieces of crystal came down from his sky in the form of rain, littering the streets with light blue small crystals. In just 2 whole minutes. The Leaf Village was under attack, and it failed to retaliate, for the very first time. It's been 3 years since that night. 3 years since Konoha was faced with the impossible, and 3 years since Naruto Uzumaki and Sakura had defected from Konohagakure no Sato.
It took the Great Leaf Village 1 year to rebuild itself from the crystal destruction it faced, and it actually benefited from it.
Once the crystal was removed, along with the building that turned crystal, Konoha was able to make a good profit from selling the crystals to help find a means to reconstruct the place and build even more buildings. The agriculture of the village increased, more jobs were created for unemployed civilians, the Shinobi Academy was finally giving its own jutsu library, and of course, debt was now the thing of the past. But what did Konohagakure no Sato come to face as disadvantages? One being Sasuke Uchiha, who is now the official Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Jiraiya the Toad Sage was given the task to spread his spy network further into the land of rice paddies to get information of what was happening with Orochimaru's base of operations. From there, the Konoha elders were told that Orochimaru has succeeded in having to use dead Uchiha clansmen bodies and those of the Hyuga as a way to extract their unused Sharingan and Byakugan and insert them into some of his patients in order for them to gain the 2 clans' Dujutsu. With Sasuke, the Snake Sanin found one of Mito Uzumaki's Jinchuriki Fuinjutsu scrolls, and utilized one of the sealing techniques to seal the young half of the Kyuubi into Sasuke. Tsunade had no choice but to report this to the Fire Daimyo, who immediately had to find a way for Konoha to gain a Jinchuriki, or else its reputation as one of the great villages would perish. Tsunade left the Leaf Village to travel all the way to Takigakure in the hopes of buying the 7 Tails Jinchuriki from Takigakure's village leader with 2 pots full of small blue crystals, and the deal was officially made. The 7 Tails Jinchuriki was treated fairly and offered training by Jiraiya, who at the time was preparing to leave in search of information he could gather on the organization known as the Akatsuki. The girl accepted, seeing as there wasn't any other choice she could take in the matter, and left with Jiraiya for a 2-year training trip. The second disadvantage was none other than Itachi Uchiha's return. When he came back to Konoha, the truth behind the Uchiha clan massacre was told to the village, which made a number of clans begin to lose trust in the elders of the village, believing that if a clan does not stay in line with the given rules, or either try to have the clan head go for the Hokage seat, that clan would be removed of the radar in just one fell swoop. It was then that the Kurama clan decided to leave Konoha with the daimyo's permission, and live in one of the towns of the Fire Country. Lastly, was Naruto. Amongst the populace of Konoha, rumors began to spread such as Naruto being kidnapped by Iwagakure, since it was made known that Minato Namikaze made an enemy out of them since the Third Shinobi War, or that Naruto died during the mysterious attack of crystal lightning and falling asteroid. But the truth was made a month after the attack that the overwhelming pressure, the destruction of the Yondaime Hokage's mansion and the crystal storm was the making of Naruto's secret army force, the Gote 13, which was renamed to the Gote Kami 13, the 13 Godly Protection Squads. Naruto used them to make an escape from the village, and defected from Konoha along with Sakura, destroying his entire inheritance and whatever belonged to him, with the Uzumaki shrine vanishing 6 days after his defection. By the vote of the new Konoha Council, Naruto was made a missing ninja with an S-rank threat level and a flee on-site order. Some of his abilities were named in the bingo book, such as his range of Kekkei Genkai and Kekkei Tota, the Jubigan, which was dubbed as a mixed dujutsu of the Sharingan, Byakugan, and the long-forgotten Rinnegan, and being a Jinchuriki of an ancient goddess known as Kagaya Otsutsuki, which had the entire elemental nations buzzing with wonder as to who this goddess could be, and how Naruto ended up with the goddess in the first place. Iwa, Suna, Kumo, even villages like Kusa and Hoshigakure are and still are on the hunt for Naruto, with each village having its own reasons. Konoha, by Tsunade's and the elders' decision, was to stay away from the boy and Sakura, since his secret army made it perfectly clear that they will destroy the entire village if they try to go looking for him. Currently, it was 11:45 a.m. in the morning, and Tsunade was seated at her desk doing paperwork as usual. Sigh. I did not sign up for this bullshit. was what Tsunade thought to herself as she stopped signing the papers, and relaxed onto her chair as she took a deep breath, then exhaled tiredly. Shihouin, who was standing beside Tsunade with Tauntaun in her hands, looked on in pity at her teacher and mentor as she said to Tsunade, "Tsunade-sama, maybe you should rest a bit. You can take the day off if you need to. Today's workload isn't that high and it's only approving rental increases, genin certificates, and outstanding bills from some of the local shops in the 7th district. I'm sure you." "No, Shihouin," said Tsunade, "I have to do this right now. Besides, it's been 3 years and 4 months since I became Hokage. I'm getting used to this boring job that I'm stuck with until Naru." Tsunade stopped midway of what she was going to say, and looked down, with Shihouin frowning in sympathy of Tsunade. "You still think of him, don't you, Tsunade-sama?" Tsunade, without looking at Shihouin, nodded and said, "Since that day. I just can't figure out why he left, and why he did that. I was angry at him half the year, but I started missing him. His high spirit, pranks, and upbeat attitude kept a lot of people going around here. Not to mention his dreams, ambitions and ninja way made other people see the world differently. Like the cage," said Shihouin. Tsunade stood up from the chair, and walked over to a picture of the 4th Hokage as she continued. "Naruto changed after that retrieval mission, and I knew that things wouldn't be the same for him when he somehow stopped smiling less and less every time I saw him. In S way, he was like his father. The key point of everyone's hope for happiness and prosperity. But now, from what Master Jiraiya has gathered, Naruto is now the 10th member of the Akatsuki," said Shihouin with Tsunade clenching her hands into fists. "Sometimes I tell myself it's that Kage, a woman influencing him into doing all these things that aren't him in any way I personally know him. But since he left, his ninja record has started to make me think that he was gonna end up this way somehow from all the things he experienced as a child." "Tsunade-sama, are you saying Naruto has went insane?" "Yes, no. Sigh, I don't know, Shihouin. I wish I knew what's going through his mind right now, and I wish I knew before he left," said Tsunade as she went back to her chair and sat down. Before she could say anything, a knock was heard from the door, and Tsunade mentioned the person to enter. The door opened to reveal Itachi Uchiha, the current clan head of the Uchiha clan and the reinstated elite Junin of Konoha. Itachi is dressed in the standard black Anbu pants with a black Uchiha t-shirt and a blue Junin vest on top with blue shinobi sandals as he now wears a new blue Konoha headband replacing his old one. "Good morning, Itachi. Are you here to beg me again to have another retrieval mission for that idiot brother of yours? Or are you here for mission instead?" said Tsunade as she looked at Itachi with a tired expression on her face. Itachi sat down on the chair in front of Tsunade's desk, and gave Tsunade a stoic expression as he said, "Good morning, Hokage-sama, Shihouin-san. I'm actually here to give you some information on the Akatsuki's next move." Tsunade straightened up immediately from what Itachi said, and got into cage mode as she crossed her fingers together and said, "Go on. When I joined the Akatsuki, I was told that the organization would be doing mercenary missions for a while to raise funds in order to get the organization up and running. I was then told of the plan of capturing the Jinchuriki and how it was going to be done. Everyone will be paired into 2 groups and will be given the choice of choosing which Jinchuriku to capture. I don't know everyone's choices, but I do know that the One-Tails was chosen by Deidara of Iwa and Sarori of the Red Sand. Me and Akiri Nuke Nin named Kisame took up the choice of capturing Naruto, and Kisame made Fusan the second choice since nobody else wanted her. Last time I spoke to the leader of the organization, the plan of capturing the Jinchuriki would start this year, but I don't know on which day and month." Tsunade, hemmed as she sat back into the chair, then said, "Thanks for telling me, Itachi. That will actually help Gaara prepare for those to when they show up. But Itachi, you do know of what your brother did to Naruto before he ran off to Orochimaru, right? If you do, then you should know by now that Naruto will do everything in his power to find Sasuke, and he won't stop at nothing to get to him and, God knows what, to your brother once he gets his hands on him. Because of the threat that this village faced from his powerful army, we sorta never get in his way, so trying to help you is actually suicidal in this case. As for Fu, I believe Naruto won't come after her since Danzo expects that Naruto won't bother making a return here ever again. Look, Itachi, I sort of understand where you come from with Sasuke, and you will do everything in your power to make sure that he stays alive and is safe, even if he still hates you for what you did. But I, as your Hokage, I have ordered you to not leave the village since you are still under probation from the crime you committed. Yaki didn't flinch from Tsunade's gaze as he responded, I understand, Hokage-sama. My little brother has always been my only concern, and I promised our parents that I will take care of him, regardless of whatever happens to him. I will find way to protect him, but as I asked you before, once his location is discovered, I will be the one leading that retrieval mission, probation or not. There was a moment of silence in the room as Tsunade sighed and relaxed back into the chair as she drank her green tea. His silence was gone when she said to Itachi, Fine, Jiraiya is here to drop off Fu from the training trip, he'll probably go back to his spy network to find out anything on Sasuke's last or current whereabouts. Is that all you have for me, Itachi? Hi, Hokage-sama, that is all, I'll take my leave and return back to the compound, said Itachi as he stood from his seat and walked to the door. Before he could leave, Tsunade spoke to him, Itachi, do me a favor and don't try to go looking for Naruto. I know about the relationship you had with his mother, but Naruto is now out of our hands and is completely untouchable. I wish I could get out of here and look for him to get answers as to why he left in the first place and why is his doing all of this. But his army made it clear that Naruto wants nothing to do with Konoha, and if any ninja from this village tries to find him or pick a fight with him, this village will suffer worse than it did before. For a minute, Itachi said nothing, then said to Tsunade. Hi, Hokage-sama, I am Ninja of the Leaf, and it is my sole duty as a ninja of Konoha to protect the people of this village and put my personal priorities second. But let me ask you this, what will you do if Naruto kills one of Konoha's ninja like Kurenai, Inoichi, Asuma, or perhaps your apprentice Ino Yamanaka, and Shizune-san? Will you still continue to obey the oath you put this village under? Seeing as he didn't get an answer, Itachi left the office and closed the doors behind him. Somewhere else, in a place that looked like a desert with rocks, mountains and desolate trees, here find Sakura, who is now 5 feet 2 inches tall, dressed in a black cloak with red clouds on it with pink tight pants being visible from her ankles along with a pair of pink shinobi sandals with white socks on her feet. Her scratched leaf headband was tied around her forehead and wore a small gold necklace with a gold swirl hanging from it. On the index finger of her right hand is a black ring that has the Kenji for 8 feet on it, and on the pinky finger of her left hand was platinum ring with a diamond-encrusted Uzumaki swirl in it. Her facial features haven't changed save for the studs on both of her ears and a tattoo that is a circle surrounding a Kenji that meant Queen. All in all, Sakura looked much more older and beautiful as she is now older than she was before. Standing in front of Sakura stood a tall, slender, and dark-skinned woman who was dressed in a black backless sleeveless undershirt, a white overshirt with 2 purple straps on each shoulder, a large beige sash around her waist and white stretch pants with a pair of lightweight black shoes. The woman's right hand has a scorpion tattoo with red lightning running across it, and on the back of her neck is a Kenji that means Shunshin with a strange gote symbol on it. For her figure, the woman is completely fit with her bubble but standing out very well, and her DD cup S being noticeable from her overshirt. The woman has a heart-shaped face with lips adored with brown lip gloss, golden eyes, and long purple hair kept in a ponytail. This woman is none other than Yoruichi Shihouin, member of the Omnitsukido Forces, Kido Corp, and lieutenant of the Gote Kami 13's 2nd Squad. Yoruichi smiled to Sakura as she spoke. All right, Sakura-chan. Me and the girls have been training you for the past actual 2 years in Hakuda, Taijutsu, sensory techniques, Bakuda, Genjutsu, and using the advanced version of Tsunade's chakra fists into your own chakra armor. Now it is time to see if all the training has paid off. We're gonna be doing a range of tests, starting from Hakuda mixed with speed. For this test, you will have to block all my attacks and continue to catch up to my speed. This test will go on for about 20 seconds. Are you ready, Sakura-chan? Sakura took a deep breath, then exhaled as she answered Yoruichi, Hi. Yoruichi-sensei. Yoruichi's smile turned into a smirk, and vanished from sight. Sakura narrowed her jade-green eyes, then in instant, Sakura bent forward to dodge a straight kick to the back of her head from Yoruichi, and Sakura vanished, only to reappear behind Yoruichi doing a roundhouse kick that was avoided as Yoruichi vanished. Sakura quickly on her feet and blocked the right hook from Yoruichi, who appeared in front of her just as Sakura formed her arms in an X position in front of her face. Yoruichi vanished again, and reappeared on Sakura's left side using the elbow of her right hand to hit Sakura right in the hip. Sakura saw this coming and vanished, making Yoruichi eye widen, but quickly jump away from the mean right fist that was aimed at her chest by Sakura, who appeared in front of her. The two women continued to vanish and reappear all of the sky, trying to get a hit on each other, with both of them failing to do so as the other would see the attack coming, and dodge, block and avoid. Yoruichi vanished from where they were, and reappeared on the ground as she said to Sakura. "It looks like you pass, Sakura-chan. But now, it's time for the second test, which is taijutsu and using your chakra armor technique against my." Yoruichi placed her hands on her hips, and in an instant, her body got encased with a white flame-like energy. Shunko. This time, we don't use shunpo. We go at it with average speed and full force attacks. Remember that these tests are meant to see if you have mastered what we have taught you, and not for determining your strength. Are you ready, Sakura-chan? Sakura closed her eyes and placed her hands in a prayer position. In just 2 seconds, blue chakra began to spark around her body and gained a bluish glow, and she opened her eyes as she responded, "Hi. Yoruichi-sama." Yoruichi ran up to Sakura in Junin speeds, and threw a right fist to Sakura, who blocked it with the forearm of her right hand, gaining a red mark from the burning hit of Yoruichi's shunko. Yoruichi threw left punch to Sakura, who caught it with her right hand, not feeling the burn, and Yoruichi pulled it back to do a roundhouse kick to Sakura's right side, who blocked it with her right arms, pushing her back, but stopping to halt. Sakura immediately saw Yoruichi coming and caught Yoruichi's left foot before it could land a hit on the right side of her face. Yoruichi, seeing an opening, tried to hit Sakura's midsection with a palm strike, bending over slightly, but the hit was caught by Sakura, who released Yoruichi's left foot. Yoruichi did a back flip and got to her feet, but jumped away immediately as Sakura came down flying with a right punch, causing a huge crater with an explosion as dust began to accumulate. Yoruichi looked to see if Sakura was in the crater as the dust began to subside, and saw that she was gone. Yoruichi looked everywhere for Sakura, but eye widened as she could feel the ground beneath her start to shake, and jumped back to see Sakura punching her way out the ground. With no time to waste, Yoruichi got back on the offense with Sakura blocking all of her hits, with her palms starting to get red from the hits of the shunko punches being blocked and stopped. After 2 minutes, Yoruichi blocked one of Sakura's left punches with her bare left hand and said, "That's enough. You pass with flying colors. But you still need to learn on how much chakra you put into your strikes, as I noticed earlier that you use too much chakra in striking your enemy where you are only supposed to dislocate and not kill." Yoruichi took 10 steps back, and stood still with her hands by her side. Here is another test, which is sensing your ally amongst your many enemies and seeing through an illusion or genjutsu technique. This test will help to see if your accuracy has improved or not. What I want you to do now is close your eyes for me, and focus on my spiritual presence. Sakura nodded and closed her eyes. After 5 seconds, she heard Yoruichi's voice again, but only this time, she could hear it inside her mind. Now, open your eyes. Sakura opened her eyes to see an estimate 35 Yoruichis standing in front of her, with all of them having their hands on the hips. If you can locate where my spiritual presence is, get rid of all my clones to find me. For about 4 minutes, Sakura said nothing as she narrowed her eyes to sense the actual Yoruichi. She found her quickly, and did the dragon plus snake plus boar and hare hand signs as she said, "Would release, vines of the undead jutsu." Wild black vines came straight out from the ground and stabbed all of the clones of Yoruichi as they all phased away, leaving one unharmed Yoruichi who folded her arms and was smiling. "Easy pass, Sakura-chan. You pass all the tests. Now then, why don't we have a little celebration cake and soda before you go back to Naruto-sama, Sakura nodded in agreement, and the two women walked off to sit under a tree to see a full strawberry cake and 2-liter soda with plastic cups. The two ladies sat down and ate the cake with the provided saucers and utensils, and drank the coke with relative silence or complimenting the taste of the cake. Sakura wiped off some cream from her chin and licked it off her finger as she said to Yoruichi. Since I've been here in Siraiti, I haven't gotten to see just what exactly happens around here and how everyone is doing. How are you guys, by the way? What do you normally do around here when Naruto doesn't send in a mission for guys? Well, said Yoruichi, Sarate is actually peaceful and quiet. Some people, like Byakuya and Rukia-chan, are used to it as they prefer a peaceful environment with peace and quiet, but some of us don't. A lot of us do spars, target practice and nuke nin pouching, which is a pastime for everyone besides the Sotaicho and Komamura Taicho. To be honest, we don't really do much around here. Ouch, I'm sorry, you guys really don't have anything to do. Boredom and can really be a mood killer. You all need something to do to escape this boredom. I really wish I could help. Actually, Sakura-chan, said Yoruichi as she began to smirk, you can help us get rid of the boredom. Sakura gave Yoruichi a confused expression as she said back to Yoruichi, me. How can I help? Even if I could, I won't be able to stay around as Naruto-kun wants me always by his side starting today. I'm just waiting for the call, then I can go to him. It's really simple, Sakura-chan. All you have to do is convince Naruto-sama on removing the barrier the Soul King created around the elemental nations. That's how you can help. The barrier. I don't think that's a good idea, Yoruichi-sensei. Removing the barrier could start up a lot of commotion, not to mention that Hallows will be flooding over here because of chakra, and the Soul King is the only person who knows what will happen if a person with chakra either gets eaten by a Hallow or turns into a Hallow. Besides, the people of the elemental nations aren't like regular people from around the world. They can see you guys. Imagine if a Manos class Hallow dropped in Kumo. That would bring up a widespread of panic that Naruto-kun or anyone won't be able to calm down. Relax, Sakura-chan. We have been planning for this since last year, so we aren't that stupid. Kisuki and Aizen have been working on a device that will close all 5 spiritual senses, making us once again undetectable, invisible and unrecognizable to chakra users and people who use chakra. The device will be given to everyone to use when we're given missions that aren't really that related to Element Nation affairs. Plus, it's already been tested out when Soi-chan was on a stealth mission to retrieve documents regarding the whereabouts of the Sanbi, and it works well. Besides, Sakura-chan, we are more fast in travel than Soul Society's Gote 13 as they use the old Senkaimon to get from one place to the other. We, on the other hand, have now created higher standards of Shunpo and Sonido, whereas I can lock onto a person's spiritual presence or signature, and Shunpo over there. It's like the Yondaime Hokage's yellow flash, but the difference is that we don't use markers. So, will you tell him to switch it off? Sakura drank some of the soda, and placed the cup down as she looked at Yoruichi and asked, I get that all of you want to have the same regular duties as Soul Society's Gote 13 does, but what if they come here? Won't that mean? Here is what's going to happen. When the elemental nation pops up on their world map for Earth, the energy readings will be completely off the charts, and they will most likely send someone, a captain and his or her lieutenant, to come and investigate. The Sotaicho will do the same and send a message to them that this continent is completely off limits and should never return. The penalty for them coming here in the first place will be losing a captain. If they try again, we wipe out half of their Seraiti even if they try to resist. By then, they will know not to ever fuck with us again. As for their problems, we can take them head on with no problem, said Yoruichi with a smirk on her face. Sakura was about to speak, but felt something vibrate in the pocket of the cloak, and took it out to reveal a cell phone, Windows Phone. Well, it looks like my training is over. The Moon's Eye plan is starting now. Look, Yoruichi-sensei, I will try and ask him to pull the barrier down, and I'll give him the same reason you gave me on why you all want the barrier gone. He might do it, and at the same time he will most likely come here to try and confirm why you all want it gone. Good enough. Yoruichi nodded and said to Sakura, before you leave, taps lips with left index finger. Sakura sighed, but got closer to Yoruichi's face and captured her lips in a hot kiss as she caressed the dark-skinned woman's cheeks, who moaned into the kiss as she parted from it with a little saliva between them. Sakura stood up and said to Yoruichi, you are such a for my kisses, Yoruichi-sensei, and I'm not even that good at kissing. What can I say? Said Yoruichi as crossed her legs and smiled. Sakura, I'm a natural subby to my master's wives. Sakura giggled and I smiled at Yoruichi's statement, and sunk into the ground fast, leaving no trail of her ever being there. Konohagakure no Sato, outside the west gate. In the forest that was near the west gate of the Leaf Village, here we find Jiraiya the Toad Sage dressed in his usual attire, still carrying the large scroll on his back. Besides him was slender, petite, androgynous, dark tan-skinned girl dressed in blue shinobi sandals, fishnet shorts with a short apron skirt over it, white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long with white armlets and a blue Konoha headband tied around her right arm. The girl appears to have a heart-shaped face with brown lipstick on her lips and a little bit of makeup on her cheeks, orange pupilless eyes and short spiky mint green hair. This girl is Fu, current 7 Tails Jinchuriki of Konoha and Genin. Well, here we are, finally back from the training trip. Are you ready to get into the swing of being a leaf shinobi, Fu? Said Jiraiya as he grinned at the girl, who eye rolled as she responded, it's not like I can say no, SSU. Jiraiya's shoulders slumped and gave Fu an expression of a wrinkly old woman as he said to her, 2 years. 2 years and 5 months and you still won't give me just a smile. What can I do to get a reaction out of you? Gee, let me think, said Fu as she got into a thinking pose, then looked at Jiraiya with a stoic expression as she said, throw yourself off a cliff. Maybe, just maybe, I'll even dance. Jiraiya chuckled loudly as she said, ha, fat chance, for I am Jiraiya of the Sannin, and I bow to no women. But you will smash you head into a wall 100 times to see Tsunade-sama's, SSU, said Fu with a sweat drop, making Jiraiya eye twitch with his grin looking like it was on the verge of cracking. Jiraiya and Fu finally reached the gates and showed their ids to the gates who let them through. Fu looked around the village and saw Tsunade's face now on the monument next to Minato Namikaze's face and said, she finally got that done, huh? She looks super awesome SSU. Being the cage of this village brings a lot of respect and dignity. And when you step down, your legacy will be remembered by those who will come after you. That monument is a great piece of history to Konoha, and one of its most precious treasures, said Jiraiya as he smiled and looked at Fu. How about we grab some food and a drink before we go to Tsunade? We have been traveling without anything to eat since we left the grass village. Fu nodded in agreement, and the both of them got into a bar as they both sat down and ordered some dango and 1 bottle of sake. Jiraiya, I never asked this before, but now would be a good time to ask you since we're back in Konoha. Sure, what do you want to know, my first female student? Is it how do I get my fresh handsome looks? How do I think of my great and charming pickup lines? Or how? What's your relationship with Naruto Uzumaki? Jiraiya slightly eye widened for a second, then sighed as he looked at Fu and said, what brought that up, Fu? I remember the first time I came here. The one name that I kept on hearing was Naruto's name all the time. Then I heard his father as the Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze, who was one of your very first students. I was actually suspecting that you do have something with his son since you trained the father, said Fu. Well, Fu, you're right about me having a relationship with Naruto. Before he was born, his parents made me and Tsunade his godparents. Tsunade wasn't around to hear this, but I eventually told her after she became Hokage. On the night Minato and Kushina died sealing the Kyuubi into Naruto, I swore to them both that I would take care of their son, and protect him from any harm that came his way. Unfortunately, I wasn't always there for Naruto when he grew up, and even when I was, I only saved him from the constant mob attacks he got as a kid. I was visiting the village after 3 months to report to the Sandaime of what I could gather on the Akatsuki, so spending time with him as I was supposed to was just impossible. When I finally got some time with him, I taught him how to summon, then his father's best jutsu, which is the Rasengan. In just a short while, I really became close to him. But then, everything changed when he came back from that Sasuke Uchiha retrieval mission. Naruto came back with so many changes that confused me deeply. I wasn't around when he woke up, but Tsunade told to me that Naruto's personality had shifted, and he seemed to stop being the always grin at everything idiot that he usually was. That didn't worry me much, but made me believe that he finally has decided to let go of his former teammate Sasuke Uchiha, and focus on himself. But I was wrong. Naruto used his special forces to defect from the village with Sakura. That tore up a lot of people in this village. Ever since that day, Tsunade hasn't drank a single drop of sake and stopped gambling for a while. Naruto's friends were heartbroken, especially Hiyashi's daughter Hinata Hyuga. One of the Chunin from the Shinobi Academy stopped teaching, and retired early from his ninja duties. Fu eye widened as she said, "Wow, he must be really special to have that effect on people." Jiraiya tiredly chuckled and responded, "The irony of it all is that he always was special. But now, he's more invincible than special. Naruto came to me 6 months after he and Sakura defected, and told me that he never meant to harm anyone from the village, and left to protect everyone from his enemies. I didn't understand him back then, but a part of me actually trusts him for what he is doing. My relationship with Naruto is actually a relationship between shinobi and fellow shinobi, instead of the one relationship his parents hoped for. Do you sometimes wish you could go back in time and change that, Jiraiya?" said Fu as she gave the sage a solemn look. "I used to, but now I realize that maybe I just wasn't really meant to be his godfather. According to what the toads say about him now, his values in life haven't changed, but his dreams, ambitions and his destiny have changed for the better, and for the worst." Sigh. There was a relative silence between the two as they both looked at the dango. Fu took a bite, and swallowed it once it was chewed and said to Jiraiya, "I never knew there were people who grew up like me in the elemental nations. Me and Naruto could have been friends if we met earlier." Sigh. "You're right, Fu. I guess you're right, but now, any chance of that happening is gone, somehow." The end. Now we will see you in the next video.